We have a survivor of multiple sexual violence and a gender equality advocate in the studio, and she is Dolapo Laniyo, to discuss this disturbing rise in sexual violence and gender-based violence in Nigeria. It's so good to have you.
Thank you so much
on the show.
Good morning.
Maybe we should start from, since we have introduced you as a multiple survivor, from an experiential point of view, and how you moved into advocacy.
Well, my first sexual violence experience was when I was about 5. It's something that took me years to talk about because I'm from a Yoruba family, and we know how parents can be, that's kind of social-cultural misconception about you talking about it leading to stigmatization and then reducing your value as a woman when you grow up. So my grandmother was this, nobody must hear about it, and all that, And growing up, I kept having nightmares, and I kept asking myself questions. Okay, what did I do wrong? Was I at the wrong place at the wrong time? What did I have? What endowments did I have as a child, to have fallen into that kind of situation? Little did I know that it was going to happen again. And then when I was 13, I was in secondary school, JSS 3 to be precise, and it occurred again, and then that one translated into a constant molestation. I was at that verge of, breaking down, and it got to that point where I tried committing suicide. Wow. I actually took toilet wash, and I thank God I'm alive because wow. God actually has a purpose for my life, because when I flash back and I remember or I reminisce about that scenario, I just know it's God, because I told a friend, well, somebody was supposed to be my best friend in secondary school, and she in turn told some boys, and you know the way boys are. So I just noticed that sometimes when I walk, I'll just hear this, funny comments, this hiss, this laugh, and I'm like, what is going on? I know I only told one person. And so it's actually betrayed my trust in people. I withdrew. That trauma was just too much for me. And one evening I went into the bathroom and I drank a whole lot of toilet wash. But I thank God that I'm alive.
Well, I'm glad you're here today. You are a symbol of strength and power, because the point there is, we have always said, anyone who has these issues, voice out so anyone can handle it. Your ability to come up now and tell the story, it tells that you have strength inside of you, and that's how you were able to, and that's how you're able to survive it all the while.
The strength is not something that comes
just like
once, that. It's something you need to develop, because you're getting that strength to say that it is not your fault, as a survivor, because most people blame themselves. I've come in contact with so many people, and then they say, oh, I think it was what I wore. I think I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Perhaps I shouldn't have gone there. I'm like, no. Nothing causes rape apart from rapists. They are the cause of rape, not your mode of dressing, not where you went to. Because it is nothing justifies rape. There's no justification whatsoever for rape. So when people ascribe it to, you being at the wrong place at the wrong time, and victim blaming, especially in Nigeria, a patriarchal system, and the way the society is, so many girls and women cannot exercise their rights because of socially constructed gender roles. So
there was even I think in Futo, there was a billboard recently that went viral. A very disturbing.
It got me mad.
Exactly. But we are happy that they've taken it down, because it was portraying, or it was sending a signal that don't dress in a way that would attract, in a certain way.
Otherwise,
and the question is,
this is what you get.
The question is, how anyone dresses, should that even attract anyone to say, I want to be violent sexually or whatever towards anyone?
No,
it's certainly not a justifiable way. But now that you are an advocate, and you've won some awards here and there, and you've been in this, from your assessment, is the rate of violence against, or gender-based violence and all of, is it increasing, or the difference is just that we're getting to know more knowledge of what is going on?
The sad part of it is that it is increasing. But the good side to it is that people are becoming more aware about this and they're talking about it. And we thank God for what the Lagos State government is doing. Lagos State government is actually putting in so much effort through the DSVRC, you know, to ensure that perpetrators are getting persecuted. They are going to jail for this. Before, nobody used to talk about it. No arrests were made. But now, police, we even have gender desks at some certain police stations, you know, about 12 police stations in Lagos State that address this issue. So the awareness is there. The legal backing is there. And then we also have a platform in Hasty Health Initiative. We provide psychosocial support and legal services and counseling to survivors of gender-based violence. And that is under the My Salvos platform. We have numerous organizations to Mirabel Center, a whole lot stand to end rape. You know, the awareness is there. The advocacy too is there.
But so, how is this awareness translating into actually reducing the incidence of, you know, sexual abuse and gender-based violence? I mean, let me even talk about what you've just said about Lagos State. Is there any data that you can actually refer to?
Oh, there
is. You know, data that keeps records of, you know, sexual, sex offenders.
Yes, there is. DSVRT has that. You can check their website.
Okay.
They do publications every 3 months, so you could, you know, check it and all. Then currently we are trying to inculcate that into our platform at AC Health Initiative, My Salvos platform, so that we can, you know, give a track record of how many cases we've attended to, how many people we've, you know, prosecuted through DSVRT and OPD. So we are actually trying to inculcate that because people need to know, people need to see that work is actually going on, and then it serves as deterrent to others who are trying or who have that notion of tendency.
Does it give confidence to people, to victims of sexual violence? I mean, you talked about the conspiracy of silence, both on the part of the victim and, you know, society as a whole. Is it contributing to this rise? Because when people don't say anything, and there's so many, you know, decent-looking people who are just going about their jobs, broadcasters, bankers, and what have you, lawyers, who have experienced this at one time or the other at very, very early age, but, you know, you're not able to talk about it because of stigmatization and all of that.
Exactly. Yes. So for me, it is fear actually breeds silence. And when you keep silence, you feel fear. So they're actually directly proportional. I keep telling people that if you keep quiet, nobody gets to hear about it and nobody does anything about it. So you keeping quiet, nobody does anything about it. The more people we have who come out, just like the case of Ochanya. It's so sad that, you know, a promising life lost, but we can do better. Now the person who perpetrated this evil act has been brought to book. That is justice. And it's so sad that even in a grave, she is fighting for many other girls out there. So that is why it isn't good to stay silent. You need to talk about it.
All right, let's even talk about when we were introducing earlier, there was this question: what really attracts people to a minor who is just a little girl, a tender girl that everyone is supposed to rally around, you know, guide in life? You have interfaced with these people. When they make their confessions, what do they say?
Well, the Nigerian way is na devil kosam. It's the work of the devil. But we have so many mentally unbalanced people walking the streets of Nigeria. But you can't tell by just looking at them. So many people are psychopaths. And that is why we're actually, you know, there's another thing, you know, my organization is trying to work on, which is creating a rehabilitation center for men or boys who know that they have those tendencies. That is another way of preventing this type of cases.
But you think,
but they need to come in anonymously.
You think people who have that tendency would like to come out?
Well, we've seen it work in some certain countries. Although
but you know, Nigeria is always a peculiar place.
And the way it is in Nigeria, but we are trying to make it an online platform, not a physical platform, so that they can, you know, send
have anonymity.
So when they, you know, give us or raise those issues anonymously, we can counsel them online. That is another way we are trying to look at this, because it isn't just advocacy, it isn't just providing support. How can we ensure that these perpetrators get good and quality mental health? you know.
Perpetrators or would-be perpetrators?
Or would-be perpetrators. Because it's a thing, okay, it's just like me being a person, I don't love coffee. So when somebody offers me coffee, I say, oh, I don't love coffee. But I love chocolates. And then I tell you, oh, I love chocolates. I'm addicted to chocolates. And then somebody writes us a letter. I've noticed that I've had this urge, you know, I find it difficult to do without touching young girls. We understand, we get the message. And then what do? We counsel. So I think that is one of the best approaches we should look into in Nigeria.
What kind of counseling do you give such people? Do you tell them, yes, as a human being, it is normal to have such feelings, but these are the things you can do, you know, if you find yourself in that space, in that frame of mind at a particular time, because really it is a fleeting moment. It's not something you stay in.
Yes.
So talk to us more about what you tell them, because I mean I'm sure there are people who are watching and they're thinking such things already.
If you want to counsel people, especially perpetrators or people with tendencies to commit one form of violence or the other, there is something we call reverse psychology. We make them see themselves not as bad people, but as people that can channel their feeling into something more productive. It's just like anger management classes. You have the tendency to, you get angry unnecessarily, you cannot control.
The slightest.
That energy you are putting into getting angry, destroying things, you channel it into something else, something more productive. You ask them, oh, what do you love doing best? Oh, I love painting. Oh, okay. Rather than, you know, nurse this feeling of wanting to sleep with a child, why don't you paint something? Paint something nice. Picture something nice. The time they'll spend thinking about a child, they're using it to paint. Or they're using it to do something more constructive. And before you know it, yes. The mind pays so much attention on what the focus is on.
Yeah. Yes. Besides all of this, there has been the talk about unemployment, there's been the talk about idleness.
Yeah, too many factors.
Do these, it contributes, it compounds the situation?
It also contributes to that. People say that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Yeah. Actually, I see it as the devil's factory because there are too many evils that come to mind when you don't have anything doing. But, like I said earlier, there is no justification for it.
Okay.
We shouldn't say that is one of the causes. Well, it may be a predisposing factor because when a man is idle and then he stays at home all day and then children come back to school, he tends to interact with them more. So that is ample time for him to spend with children.
And there's the ritual angle to it too, you know.
Too many things, too many things.
All right, we have to leave you here now. Dolapo Olaniyan, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being a strength to other people as well.
Oh,
we encourage you and we really support you in what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.